NCDOT plans to clean the sites of several homeless camps in Asheville tomorrow. Now, last week, the city of Asheville and Asheville police gave notice to several homeless camps along I-240 that they needed to relocate. Now, since then, News 13's Taylor Thompson went to the camps today to see who remains and what comes next.
Tired and frustrated is how those living at encampments here in Asheville say they feel as they once again have to relocate.
Risking our freedom every day to help to try and stay out of the cold and to just feel like we can rest for a minute.
Roman had been camping out behind Haywood Street Church and has had to move since given the notice.
All the resources are here in downtown Asheville, but they, according to them, we have to be all out of city limits in order to be able to camp without them kicking us off the properties.
Brian Combs is the pastor at the church where he says they have been a long-time safe haven for those who feel displaced.
It's simply harder and harder to be poor in Asheville, and Haywood Street, along with A-Hope and a number of other safe spaces, intend to be a place of welcome where people can gather.
The church has experienced more and more people needing a place to camp.
I do find it troubling that it's already hard enough to be a person in poverty, and if you want to make someone's life even harder, make them move over and over again.
While both empathize with the city, Roman says they could do more to help.
For, say, a tent city, there is a way to proclaim a tent city and keep an order in it within the tent city community by, I guess, understanding where everybody comes from.
It's hard, but they do what they can to survive.
My bag is weighing about 80 pounds right now with a tent, all my backpack and stuff. And it's very difficult to move from one place to the next, to be able to set up again, and then once I'm set up, only be told I have to move again.
The church says they will always be a sanctuary and hopes the rest of the city will as well.
I pray that Asheville will continue to be a city that welcomes folks that, again, don't feel like they have a seat at the table anywhere else.
Residents at homeless camps say that it's like starting from square one again every time a camp gets shut down and would like to see the city do more to help.
And new at 5 o'clock, Buncombe County considers a change in how it classifies short-term rentals.
The discussion centers around the possibility of classifying some of the rentals as commercial properties instead of residential. News 13's Charles Perez takes a look at the impact of the possible change.
So that's it. That's the front door.
Perry Martino rents out the cottage behind his home. He says the added income is important.
That's one of the reasons we did move to this home, is to have that income in the back.
Though his home is classified as a longer-term rental property, more than 30 days, many rent out all or part of their homes on a nightly basis. Bachelorette Oasis. So now there's a recommendation before the Buncombe County Commission to revisit how residential rentals are classified. At issue, those short-term rentals like Airbnbs.
So when you have a limited housing stock and you allow a chunk of this to get taken away and put into a different product, it's like, fine, go ahead and do that, but tax it differently.
Joe Minicosi is one of those who brought the issue to the commission.
The low ones are $500 and $600 a night. And the high ones are approaching $2,000 a night.
The difference, says Minicosi, makes those properties into commercial properties and should be taxed as such.
One of these numbers, particularly on the pink side, should be at a different rate because it's a different property type, right? It's commercial.
Though Perry, who used to do short-term rentals, isn't concerned about the possible change, he's not so sure about his neighbors.
Living in this street might not matter, but go back there a few blocks where it's all residential, I'm sure they don't want commercial.
Whether they do or not, a change in classification would most certainly mean a change in income.
Yeah, that's part of the reason we bought the house. If they changed laws above and beyond what they currently are, we would have a problem.
The cleanup on the coast continues tonight, 3 days after Hurricane Ian made landfall in the Palmetto State. Crews have been hard at work trying to remove the debris that has covered much of the coastal areas. Streets have been covered in sand since the storm surge receded.
The strong storm surge overwashed many sand dunes, which are in place to protect beaches, roads, and homes. And many of those dunes are damaged, as you can imagine. And we have been having crews out on the scene, really checking out just how much damage there was out there. ABC 15's Jenna Horazo joins us now with more on that.
Jen, I was in North Myrtle Beach and Garden City today, and while I was walking along the beach, it's evident how many sand dunes are ruined. Now, before Ian even arrived, the U.S. Geological Survey was forecasting problems, saying 43% of South Carolina's dunes were expected to be overwashed, and 99% were expected to face some level of erosion. What is put in place to protect us now needs repair due to Hurricane Ian's impacts. Paul Gaze with the Marine Science Department at Coastal Carolina University says sand dunes are a critical part of ensuring that the ocean doesn't flood roads and homes. He was out surveying the coastline today to see just how badly the dunes were damaged from Hurricane Ian.
Yeah, you've got different parts of the Grand Strand that are at different stages of various renourishment projects, one that only recently been completed in the South Strand, and others have been in place for a while. So all these factors kind of play into different areas get somewhat different effects. By and large, you saw a lot of the beach lowering has happened during storms, and a number of areas the dunes were certainly scarped into.
He says now that these dunes are damaged, low-lying areas are more vulnerable.
If you start seeing storms more frequent, or we're not as able to maintain the renourishment intervals, then you start seeing increased levels of vulnerability. You certainly see that along the coast in some areas that are chronically higher erosion rates.
Gaze says Garden City's dunes saw some of the worst impacts from Hurricane Ian. Many crews can be seen out today still cleaning up sand from the roads. I met Mike Welch as he was removing furniture from beneath his home that was ruined when the sand dunes were breached.
When we could get over here and see the house, actually the furniture was just floating in the water because once the water got inside, the level came up, and then by the time we got back to begin to clean the house, the water had gone out, but all the furniture is ruined. There was just a thin, about a 1/4 to 1/8 of an inch of just slimy mud all over the bottom of the floor.
Horry County spokesperson Thomas Bell tells me that they had crews out today on the county's beaches creating emergency berms like you see right behind me. Live in Garden City Beach, Jenna Hrezo, ABC 15 News.
Jenna, thank you. We checked in with U.S. Geological Survey to see when they will be checking on how much of their forecast was realized after Hurricane Ian, and we will certainly let you know when we have a comprehensive breakdown of the impacts to the dunes.